We're going to talk today about why supported housing and social housing investment, when it's done correctly, ticks a lot of boxes from an investment perspective. We asked our investors and our clients who have bought thousands of supported housing properties what they thought was important about their investments. We've understood from them things that are important are that their investment is safe and secure, that the income they receive from their investment is predictable and assured through the setup that we follow. We're going to talk about the investment being fully managed and hands-free. If you do this right, it should be pretty much hands-free from your perspective as an investor. And lastly, but certainly not least, that the investments into social and supported housing deliver a real, lasting, positive impact that you can be proud of playing a part in. If you're interested to know about how much income you might be able to make from investing in supported housing in the way that I've talked about, if you have a look in the description, there'll be a link down there. We've created a calculator just for you, so you can have a look and play around with it to understand how much money you might be able to make if this is done correctly for you. So the first point, number one, is how and why are social and supported housing investments safe and secure? Now, this point, when we asked our clients, surprisingly came up more than any other point. We thought they would tell us that the returns were great and they were interested in the yield they could get, but the number one point that came up from the people who've invested with us was that their investments were safe and secure, and that was incredibly important to them. This is a really simple one. When you buy a property from us, you own the property. So yes, we've supercharged it by adding supported housing to it, and it's delivering all these things that we're going to talk about in a moment, but ultimately, very simply, you own the bricks and mortar. That's your safety, your security, and your asset. The second point that has come up again and again and is really important to people investing in supported housing and why it ticks a great box is how predictable is the income that you're going to get from your supported housing investment. Over the years, we've developed a foolproof system to making sure that when you buy a supported housing property with us, the income is predictable and you can be assured that it's going to be delivered to you every single month for the duration of the lease. The first thing that we do before we even look at bringing a property to you to look at, we look at lots of properties and we make sure that the local authority has approved your property for use as supported housing. That's step one in the process. And the second step is we must make sure that the rent that we're charging the local authority for your property is approved. Someone in the local authority must tick a box, reply to our email and say, yes, this rent is fair and sustainable and we will support paying that for your property. Thirdly, we must make sure that the provider we're leasing the property for is set up in the local authority, already delivering services in there and receiving rent and support fees from the local authority. Provided this happens and there is someone living in your property receiving support, you will receive a continued level of income from your supported housing property, and the government will continue to fund the housing provider that's looking after people in your house. The next layer for ensuring that your supported housing property is set up to deliver you predictable income comes in the setup. We make sure that there is a big registered provider providing a service to the housing company that you're leasing the property to, which is called regulate and protect. They regulate the company that's delivering the support and the care in the property, and they protect the tenants that are in the property, and they act as an overseer of the whole process. What this really means for you and making sure your income is predictable is that if the housing provider that signed your lease was to not be able to operate anymore, the registered provider must step in to take over the care, the support and the lease. Now, provided we followed the steps that I talked about earlier, making sure the property's approved and the rent's approved, you should see a continuation of income and the predictable nature of your investment will continue. Number three on the list for what people have found important when they invested in supported housing with us is that it's fully managed, but ultimately from your perspective, it ends up as relatively hands-free. Now, this is a bit of a point because supported housing investment takes lots of setup. There are lots of moving parts and there's lots of work. That's where we come in. We do all of the heavy lifting and all of the setup so that when someone buys a property from us, it is just that. It's hands-free. When you do it right, your investment should be paying you every single month on the first of the month or whenever your rent date is, and you should not have to worry about the management of the tenants, the maintenance, boiler problems, roof problems, who's living in the property, who's not. And the reason is that you've assigned all of those landlord responsibilities to the housing provider who is paid by the government for looking after the people in your property and for looking after the property. And that means for you, you can invest in these properties, not have to worry about the management, the maintenance, the general headaches that come with property, and receive your income every single month. Now, the point that underlines supported housing investment and the point that actually makes it work and makes it worthwhile is that it will deliver, when it's done right, a lasting, positive social impact. This is something we talk about a lot, and it's something that's extremely important for us at Bailey Capital. Two drivers make us invest in something. Does it deliver a positive social impact, and does it deliver a commercial return? So what does positive social impact mean for us? It means that someone is going to live in your particular property and is going to receive the right level of support for their situation. Whatever their ailment, their disability, their past, their situation, they should be receiving an excellent level of care and the right level of support for them. Ultimately, we want someone to move into that property and it be a great place for them to feel safe, proud and secure and be the next step in their level of independence. For us, we make sure that all of the providers that lease our properties deliver excellent care, have excellent tenant satisfaction and are delivering a positive social impact. It's extremely important and it's the difference that makes the difference for our investors. As we've said, the reasons that supported housing investment ticks several boxes for an investor. Number one, it's safe and secure. You own the property. Number two, you will receive, if it's done right, a predictable and reliable income for your investment. Number three, if it's set up correctly, it can be hands-free from your perspective. You can buy it, not touch it, and make sure you receive your income for a very long time. And number four, the most important point that underlines this, it delivers a positive social impact. Someone is better off than they were because they're living in your property and you're solving a real problem that our country has at the same time as earning a commercial return. Those points at the end are, for me, what makes this the best investment that you can do. If you're interested in investing in supported housing and understanding how much income you might be able to make by investing with us, we've created a free calculator just for you. It will be in the description. You can play around with the numbers in there and understand what a supported housing investment might do for you.